of downtown Boulder, represented in the state senate by serial taxing conservatives. I would trade my state senator for Kevin Lumberg in a heartbeat as my state senator. He's a good conservative, and I wish I had those kinds of votes representing me instead of the kind of votes I got with Raleigh Keith. Let me tell you that he does have a good voting record on all of the conservative cut ratings and so forth, and I would in most cases be voting the same way on those issues. But serving in a legislative body is not just about a vote, it's about a voice. Now, Congressman Polis squanders that voice playing small ball politics and spending his position raising money for other Democrats. Both of those should be stopped. Examples of small ball: he spends a lot of time harassing oil and gas companies about fracking. Now, even responsible environmentalists are now saying, this is the wrong issue, fracking is safe, we shouldn't be focusing on it. Has that stopped Congressman Polis? No, it has not. He's spent time on plant-based meal alternatives in public schools. Now, maybe that's a great idea. It could be a great idea, but when we're adding 1% a month of GDP to our debt, when we're looking at a debt downgrade, I don't think that's the voice our congressman should be using. Now, Senator Lundberg has used a different voice. He's used a voice that is aggressive on social issues. He said a couple of years ago that the biggest issue facing the United States is gay marriage. Really? Once again, I don't think so, and I think if we had that discussion, that would likely lose. You can just picture that a representative or a legislator with that profile will have the same things done to him that Ken Buck has done. Made him look extreme, make him unacceptable to voters, and have a significant challenge. To answer your question, the polling bears that out. Let me start with some more encouraging news about the district, which is 34% of our district would like to re-elect Congressman Polis, but 40% would like somebody new. So this is not the hopeless cause that Democrats would like to believe that we won't contribute to and work for politics, we won't focus on race. But this is not that kind of district. In terms of who performs better, me or Kevin, I perform much better. And of course, all these numbers were before all the allegations about ethical impropriety hit the Denver Post on Congressman Polis. But I started out 5 points behind with a 17-point undecided. And that is about as good as it gets in the challenge race. Senator Lundberg starts out 18 points behind and never catches up. So it is a completely different kind of race. To answer your question directly about the poll. I think he's a good Republican. I don't want to say anything negative about him, but he can't win this district, and I can't win the district. And it's most important that we have a congressman who reflects our liberty-oriented, pro-free market, economic conservative voices in Washington. Thanks for that question. Sorry to answer you such a long one.
When elected, would you be willing to work
I'll give you a couple things about term limits. The first thing is that as a civil libertarian, I tend to think that term limits take power away from voters. But what I've learned is that politicians tend to set up the system in such a way that they have an unfair advantage. So generally, I favor term limits. We have them in Colorado at the state cost. I think they've proven to be a good thing there. We also elected self-inflicted term limits for Colorado. They turned out to be unconstitutional. But I think we would be making a mistake if we were to have term limits that only applied to our state. I would support term limits that apply broadly to nationally to every state, but I would not want to hamstring Colorado from ever having senior congresspeople. Sarah.
Can I mention two things about term limits real quick and then ask you a question? Since I'm dealing with that in El Paso County with Doug Lambert's race.
Make your speech, Sarah.
Term limits were declared unconstitutional, so the only way to pass them is a constitutional amendment. And in the last 10 years, it's been brought up 4 times in Congress and never made it past the subcommittee. So it would have to be done through the States. So as a congressman, I don't know how much. My question for you though, since you're a first generation American, is what is your take on immigration? And I think you would probably agree with most people in the room that it's not just an illegal immigration problem, but the legal immigration system is part of the cause of the illegal immigration problem. So what are you looking to do to amend that?
Thank you, and it's a nice segue from the term limits to the immigration. First, I think the Republican Party needs to reclaim its position, and Marco Rubio spoke very eloquently about this last week, as the pro-legal immigration party. One of the prime functions of any government, though, is to control its borders. We need to secure our borders, we need to enforce our laws, we need to know who's coming in and who's coming out of the United States. If we don't do that, we can't keep the drug dealers out, we can't keep the terrorists out, we cannot protect ourselves from the bad things and the bad people that come in over the border. So first, we have to secure the border. If we don't make a serious commitment to that, we'll never be successful in any kind of immigration reform. We need to have a way for people who want to come into the United States to work at jobs that can't otherwise be filled on a temporary basis without a path to citizenship legally, so that we don't create undocumented workers because of economic need. And I broadly support something called the red card solution. And the red card solution is really a public-private sector joint solution towards that issue. As far as more broadly legal immigration, I described us needing to enforce the border. I want that to be a very high fence, but it should be a wide gate. People that want to come here, that can contribute to our society legally, should be permitted to do so. Now, you can get a graduate degree in engineering or science from American University that doesn't come with a green card stapled to it is a mystery. So I think we should broaden that. So hope that answers your question. Yes, sir.
A two-part question, if it's not too boring. How many people here, by show of hands, are in the 2nd district? Well, quite a few, but a lot of us are in the 4th district, so I'm for you, but I can't vote for you because I'm in the other district.
Thank you for your support, and you can still contribute.
Yeah. It's over there and contribute over in the 4th district. I'm with you. Another question, I'm not attempting to embarrass you, but we were taken in by a candidate who ran for governor. At least I felt that I was taken in because I was really for this fellow. And it turns out when he actually performed, the press, thank goodness for the press, they dug out the history on this person. And quite frankly, I was embarrassed, and I felt that probably the Republican Party was embarrassed. Is there anything in your background?
That's going to cost the Willis campaign like $50,000 of opposition research.
Well, these are things we're getting trapped in, and frankly, I'm getting tired of it. We need to do a better job of vetting the candidates that we throw out there, because we're tired of being embarrassed. And this is one area where we've got to tighten the screw.
I agree with you. I was embarrassed by our gubernatorial nominee.
Well,
and having
these things happen, but they reflect on the party.
They reflect on the party, and they reflected on the
Okay, that's my speech. Thank you.
I appreciate that. I'm not going to answer the question about let me list all the bad things.
Well, we need to know.
But
if you've been arrested or something, we need to know about it.
I would tell you that I'm a solid citizen.
All right.
So thank you for your question about that. Yes, sir.
Eric, you've started several businesses. They're all here, been here in Colorado, products around the world. What's your saying about how we deal with the offshoring of so many of our services outside the U.S.?
I didn't touch on the issue of taxes while I was going through the fiscal issues, because I wanted to talk about spending. But we need to look very, very closely at taxes. As of last week, and this is not something that was a headline, and perhaps it should have been a headline, we're now the major nation with the top corporate tax rate in the world. Now, if you're choosing where to put a business, you're going to look at where can you sell stuff, where can you buy stuff, where can you get the help that you need, where do you have a predictable legal system. But if you're paying the highest